What's up, guys? Today, I want to share with you the most impactful tip for making your communications more effective. This single tip is something I learned probably about 10 years ago and have been implementing ever since. It is simply considering the wants and needs of the other person and putting those first. Oftentimes, most communicators, most people are just thinking about what is in it for them. What are your wants and needs? And this is what we put first. And so when we communicate that, it falls flat for the other person. It's not received in the way that we want it to, because what's important to them is not, what's important to us is not important to them, or may not be nearly as important. So rarely communicating with your wants and needs first is that going to be very effective. So simply consider the wants and needs of the other person. Now here's some tips to dig into that a little bit deeper. Review the information. Review the information you know about the other person. Review past conversations, past decisions, past behaviors. Try to determine the common thread that says this is what's important to them, whether it be family, whether it be money, whether it be status. All these different things you can pull out of conversations you've had, decisions they've made, behaviors you've seen them have. What do they prioritize? Ask yourself a couple questions and start to understand what that is. If you don't have this information, or you don't know the person that well, or you just met the person, start to think in that way, that you're collecting this information as they tell you stories, as you talk with them, or if you know somebody they know, you can work with them. Say, hey, tell me about Steve. Tell me what he's like. What matters to him? Or go through, in the day, in this modern era, you can look through their social media or look through various things that basically show you if they have a lot of pictures of their family or if they have pictures of nice cars. These sorts of things will tell you what matters most to them. Is the demonstration of status, or if it's family or money, any number of things that could really be important to them. And understand that then catering your communications or directing your communications with that in mind is going to land a lot more effectively and then drive a lot more effective communication. It's a very subtle thing to do, but most people don't do that. We see from our own lens, and what we think is important is the most important thing. We need to flip this. We need to start looking through their lens, understanding what they see as the most important thing. And then if we put that communication right in front of them, stressing what they find important, they're going to be much more receptive. Always seek to understand what is important to others. If you start to develop this, it's a skill that you can grow. So in every relationship, you're preparing yourself to be for more effective communication as you go on. This is something to always be doing, because then it sets the stage. So when you have an important communication that you really want to be effective in, you can pull from this data bank of all this information you have of understanding of other people. And you get better at it, right? As you practice this with more and more people, you understand that there's only so many things that humans find important. And it starts to become easier and easier to tell what those things are. If you aren't very good at it today, that doesn't mean that you cannot get good at it. Just the same way as you can get good at anything. So start small, start slow. You're going to miss sometimes, and that's going to be okay. But over time, you can get very good at identifying what's important to the other person and structuring your most important communications, your critical communications, to be more effective. This is one of the most impactful tips that I would say. You make this change, your communications are going to go way up on the effectiveness scale. Look around at all of the examples of communicate that they only have their own interests in mind, that they think that the idea is fantastic, that they think the idea is great, and they think it's great for these reasons. These are all what they see. They have not put themselves in the other person's shoes or the audience's shoes of who they're trying to sell to. Putting it simply, if you start to reframe communication as selling an idea, it starts to take on a different feeling. You take on a different perspective. Effective communication is sales. It's getting the other person to buy your idea. In order to get somebody to buy, you need to make it attractive to them. And so what matters the most to them is the easiest way to do so. I hope this helps. You can't lose if you don't quit.